If there were such a thing as airplane eye candy, one plane in the northern hills would definitely qualify. It belongs to a man who has loved airplanes his whole life. Tonight, the story behind the airplane and the pilot's passion for flying as we go along the way to Spearfish. Watching this plane is like flying back to the past, or perhaps flying from the past into the present. In a way, it's both. Either way, it's fun.
In the early days of flying, starting in the early teens up until World War II, this is really the only way they could get enough strength out of the airplane is to put two wings, and that's where all this bracing comes into effect, and all these wires that's what gives the strength to the airplane, because back then they just didn't have the technology to make one wing strong enough to do what they were trying to do.
Pilot Michael Rath owns this shining red beauty. He says it's a 1988 model of a late 1930s era airplane, a reproduction built by a company in Michigan.
But they took kind of the best of that golden era and they kind of redesigned it, put the best of the new tires, the new brakes, all the increases in safety. And so you still have this antique airplane, but you have some of the better safety features that go along with it. It flies like an old car drives. I mean, it's real, it's heavy, but it's smooth.
He says flying has always been a big part of his life, growing up in Baker, Montana, on a farm that had a runway.
My dad was a pilot, and it's time we could spend together, so I think that was important to me.
Michael's approaching the 2-decade mark as a professional pilot. These days, he pilots business jets for a company named NetJets. And just like his family grew up with flying, check out his two boys taking a peek inside one of those high-tech jets while it was parked. And this flight, where his wife Nola was able to fly with him right up front.
I get to fly this really cool jet during the week, but we're at 45,000 feet and we're just managing a system where this thing, when you fly it the whole time you fly it. So it just kind of takes you back to your roots.
He says he built a plane in his garage last summer, sold that, and bought this. The open cockpit opens up a whole new experience in the air.
So this is an airplane that you're going to fly down low and slow and, take a look outside. When you fly over the hills, you can smell the trees, When you fly over the fields in the summertime, you can smell the wheat in the field. It's just a crazy sense. You take off about 80, everything in the air is 100, and land at 80 as well.
Passengers fly in the front seat. As the pilot, he sits in the back seat. Low and slow or not, each time I reached past the windshield to get a better shot, I held onto that camera for dear life. The wind resistance was stronger than I could have ever imagined. Michael says the most challenging part of this plane is the landing. In the old days, he said, you could just land in a big grass field.
When I'm sitting in the back, when it's in this 3-point position, you can't see over the nose of the airplane. So when you'll see when we come into land, you lose sight of the runway, and I'm basically looking at the sides of the runway out of the corner of my eyes, and that's all you have to keep the airplane aligned on the runway.
Michael says he became a pilot at age 16, the youngest age you can legally fly a plane alone, and he got his private pilot's license at age 17, again, the youngest age legally allowed. Michael's dad enjoys this plane, as do Michael's sons. 3 generations united by one plane.
It makes no practical sense to have. It's noisy, it burns a lot of gas, it drips oil wherever you go, but it's just a lot of fun to fly.
So is this plane a flight from the present to the past, or a flight from the past to the present? In a way, it's both. Either way, it's a whole lot of fun. If you've met someone cool along the way, please call or email us to let us know. He says its true name is a Waco YMF-5. It's a lot easier to just call it a cool red biplane.
Well, I know the day you went, not too long ago, it was a beautiful day, and he had fun. I was a little bit jealous.
Yeah, great views up there.
Yeah.
It was a good time. I kind of wish I would have cherished it more while I was up there, because as I'm looking at those views, they were pretty awesome. Fun time. Nice plane.
Oh, for sure. Nice, beautiful plane.